And we are live. What's going on? Y'all know what it is. The baddest chaplain on the globe. Soundbooth Radio 1. Looks like I'm coming to you live from a bunker right now. I got to get the lighting situation so much better, so much more working out. But right now, we're doing something. It's actually the first of a series of live Google Hangouts, live conversations with the Soundbooth Radio team. You got the Avengers, you got the Justice League, and we got Soundbooth. It's really, really nice. And one of the shows that are going to be premiering this fall that I'm really, really excited about is called Do It Anyway. And we're here with the great Erica Ayala, longtime friend, Soror, first fam all day. You know what it is. And just super excited to have Erica as a part of the team. So Erica, welcome.
Thank you, Chris. I'm glad to be on board.
This is excellent, man. It's excellent. So I want to know, when people think about you, when you're described by your friends, your family along the journey, like who's Erica, man?
I mean, you might be able to answer that question better than me, but I think my tenacious spirit comes through. I'm someone who has an eye for justice most of the time and is not afraid to speak out on it or do it anyway, if you will.
For sure.
So I think that's a little bit about me, but I definitely try to also be a very loyal friend, and I'm very loyal to family. And, you know, always just trying to do the right thing out there and really get people empowered to be their own, you know, biggest cheerleader.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think impedes that? Like, a lot of folks don't feel empowered. A lot of folks don't feel like they got that engine to be their own cheerleader. What do you think is slowing that down?
You know, I think there's a lot of noise out here, Chris. It's really easy to get caught up in whatever the newest GIF or meme is and stuff like that. So I think it's all about just, you know, being able to find what allows you to connect with your inner voice. And sometimes that means being more open to listening to others. I've certainly had to learn that along the way. And sometimes that means being able to discern your voice among the crowd.
For sure. Man, it's crazy that you say that, because I think about how many folks just, you know, feel sort of deflated. So it sounds like you're really trying to put, I was going to say, a battery in folks back, but you're really out here trying to encourage people, right?
Yeah, I mean, you know, sometimes you need that pep talk. Sometimes you need that other kind of talk, you know, where someone's like, you need to get your life. But yes, ultimately, it's being your own power source, whatever that is, being able to set the expectations for oneself, because ultimately that's really what the motivation is. You know, things like material things are fleeting, even relationships are fleeting, but you are always there.
Yeah.
Whether you want to be or not, you know, you're always going to have to deal with yourself. So it's just focusing on being able to know how to, again, just discern that voice within and really set guidelines for what you want in life.
I dig that, man. I dig that. So what are you interested in, man? Like what do you do for fun? Like when you're not out here putting batteries in the backs of good people out here, man, how do you unwind, man?
Right. I am a huge sports fan. And so, I mean, I'd like to think that, I don't know if it's necessarily unwinding, but it's a way to disconnect maybe from some of the things in my personal life or professional life that are really causing a lot of stress and even trauma sometimes. You know, it's kind of crazy out here. So I like to engage in taking in a game. I'm a huge baseball fan. I know we disagree, but I got to put it out there. Let's go Mets. You can see my pennant in the back. It's over there right by MJ. You know, I got to keep it. I love to write. I've been doing all kinds of writing since I can remember. And even before I realized it was kind of like a therapy for me, I would always be writing. And now I'm able to do a little bit of sports writing, which is kind of cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, and then, you know, just taking in some of the natural beauty that we have here, especially in the summertime. You know, try to get the tan right, get to the beach, go for a walk, you know, things just to be able to listen and not have to think too much.
That's pretty awesome, man. So I want to go back. We kind of scanned over. We're talking about, of course, that Yankees Mets rivalry. We all make mistakes. It's okay.
Oh wow!
No, but I was lurking the other day, and I saw you gave full disclosure. I saw you give A-Rod as props.
I did.
About that. Like, so I want to know what led you to say those nice things you said about Alex Rodriguez, who is retiring this Friday.
Yeah, I'm a baseball fan first and foremost, and I think it's very hard, if not outright impossible, to be a baseball fan, like a real baseball head, and not have an appreciation for the Yankees. Now, my relationship with the New York Yankees as an establishment is a little bit more challenging than just that, but particularly with A-Rod, what he said really touched me. I'm putting aside all of the ways that he has personally hurt my heart as a part of the Yankees, and even some of the things that have happened with him on and off the field. Have strong opinions myself on, the whole performance-enhancing drugs. But what he basically said, or what I understood him to say, is like, my family, my friends, my teammates, especially the first two groups. I mean, you've seen me through 22 years of a career, and what people might not always realize about whether it's an athlete or any kind of celebrity, when the cameras are off, when the lights are out on the field, they're just people like you and me. And so for him to acknowledge in that moment that he wasn't perfect, that it was difficult, and that he got through that with other people, I really respected and appreciated that. And so, you have to give props to someone who can come to an understanding that it's the end of the road, and was very forthcoming in saying it's not easy. Anyone who says retirement from anything or stepping away from anything that they love is easy, it's not the case. That doesn't mean that it's the wrong thing to do, but there's, I just felt that he really tapped into his emotions and was very respectful, and didn't, rake himself or any of the organizations he played for, or the game. When he made his comments, it was all love, and it was appreciation, and I respected that. For
sure. Yeah, I think it's been weird for me on the other side of it as a Yankees fan, because Alex Rodriguez has sort of been, there's no other way to put it, the bane of our existence. You know what I mean? Like, he came in and underwhelmed. You could almost always count on him to strike out when it mattered and to do well when the game didn't matter. And you sort of got to a point where you're just looking at him, you're looking at Jeter, and they're supposed to be in the same class, but it just never felt like it was working out. 09 he was a huge part of that championship. I won't take that away from him.
Right.
And he's had 696 home runs.
Right.
World class, one of the greatest baseball players I've ever seen in my life. Having said that, it does feel weird that we're sort of trying to celebrate this guy who, for so much of his the last 10 years of his career, we've just been tearing him apart.
Well, I think I don't know what it's like to be a Yankee fan, so I can't comment on that. But I do know that New York is a tough place to play.
For sure.
And I understand that. I understand that to a degree, but like you said, 2009 doesn't happen without Alex Rodriguez.
Right.
In my opinion, and in my very biased opinion, but also speaking as a baseball fan, I don't know if the Yankees get to the wild card without Alex Rodriguez last season. That amnesia that not just Yankees fans, that New York fans, Mets, we're going through some stuff right now too, and don't even get me started on the Knicks, and the Giants and Jets. We just have this amnesia sometimes as New York fans, and I don't know that we've ever had someone akin to an A-Rod, at least while I was watching New York Mets baseball. I think you could argue Strawberry or Gooden. I know Gary Carter had a lot of controversy. But again, for me as a baseball fan, certainly not as an A-Rod fan, and definitely not as a Yankee fan, I just chose to highlight what touched me about what he said. So, but I feel you. I mean, there's definitely a lot to be sifted through in the coming years. But for now, I decided to give the guy a break.
For sure. I respect that. But what would you say baseball is your number one sport? Like your favorite sport?
Oh, hands down. Hands down. I played baseball. I would have continued to play baseball if I could, but at 13, they made us girls switch to softball, and softball was good to me. I was able to play throughout college, but I've always loved baseball. I was a pitcher.
Yeah.
I still got a little bit of an arm, so if you ever need an extra in a pickup game, you let me know. But I don't know. I've just always loved baseball. I think it's a game that you have to have a lot of mental toughness.
Yeah.
There's a physical aggression that's different from a lot of games, and it's the balance between the two. It's a seesaw. It's not just a full-on rush like football or basketball. That usually, I think we're starting to get the pace back in basketball.
Yeah.
We're starting to get that pace back. Or soccer, where you're just kind of running nonstop. It's stop and go. You have to be explosive in baseball, and I think that's just kind of the person that I am. That's a little bit how my personality is. I like to think that I can be versatile and pump the brakes when I have to, but also accelerate when I have to. And I think that's the excitement that at least I see in baseball.
So, would you find that doing justice work is analogous to sports? And if so, which specific sport would you compare it most to?
I think I always say, baseball is like a microcosm of life. So I guess I would say justice work is analogous to baseball, similar to for the reasons I should say that I just explained. There are times when you have to know and you have to put your front line on there, and it's just like, listen, we need the long ball here. All right, you got to go up and hit a home run, because if you don't, it's over. So if you think about the civil rights movement, if you think about workers who go on strike, it's $15 an hour or bust. It's, we're eliminating suspensions for, disobedient behavior or that, and that's it. That's all that's on the table. And so sometimes you have to have that just 100% hitting the acceleration. But then I think there's another piece of justice work that is very strategic. Baseball is a game that is very high on physics and statistics. If you really break it down, you have to know the average, how many times A-Rod is going to hit a curveball when it's a 3-2 count. If it's 60% of the time, and the game is on the line, is that what the pitch that you want to throw? Probably not. You chance on something else. And so you have to be able to analyze justice work just as you would analyze a baseball game. The statistics, if you will, of the players, and you set yourself up realizing your skill, the assets that you bring, whatever your secret weapon is, but also trying to counterattack what you have investigated to be the skill, or in this situation, the position, the political position, or the political power of the person that you are head-to-head against. And so, I think baseball really allows that. There's a patience to it, but then there's a time to really get aggressive and be explosive, and I think justice work is just the same.
Wow. That's incredible stuff, man. That's incredible stuff. So when did you realize that you were going to be, not just one of the folks who were sitting back and just saying, oh, that's awful, when they turn on the news, what's going on with the minimum wage, what's going on with Black Lives Matter, what's going on with, sex trafficking, whatever the issue of the day is. When did you realize you weren't just going to be on the sideline? What happened for you?
I don't know. That's kind of a hard question. I've never been asked that question before. But what I do remember is that people at a young age started seeing in me this rebellious spirit, and not necessarily disrespectful. I mean, because there are ways to be rebellious without being blatantly disrespectful. Sometimes you gotta be a little disrespectful, but there are times when you have to really challenge a system. And so one example that always comes to mind for me is I tried out for my elementary school basketball team, and I was the only girl who tried out that year. I don't know about before then, but definitely I was the only girl that tried out that year, and I was cut just before the final cut. But the next year, I tried out again, and there were 5 girls with me. And then by the time I graduated high school, one of my classmates came up to me and she said, Erica, I don't know if you realize this, but there's so many girls that tried out after that first year that you tried out. And she and I, we'd grown up together, but we weren't friends per se. And she said, I just thought you'd like to know that now my sister is going to our elementary school and she's on the girls basketball team.
Wow.
There's a girls basketball team. And that was the first time when I realized that my actions meant more than just what they meant to me. There were people watching what I was doing, for better or worse, not just the coach, not just the other players, but that, actions can be symbolic. And I really held that with me and really tried to, push on things that were important to me because I could relate to them, but then also challenge myself to think about what are some other things going on in the world where I might not be directly related to them or be directly affected by them. Right. At least in my mind. But then I started thinking that, I am my brother's keeper, or, thinking of those kinds of things where we really are more interconnected than we believe. And so when you start thinking that way, you can't allow someone else to hurt while you are thriving.
Right. For sure, man. For sure. So these sort of conversations, though, when you're bringing these sort of things up, how are they often received? Do people tell you like, "Whoa, you're doing too much. Let's just play some baseball. Let's just let's watch a movie. Why you always gotta be so deep?" Like how have those conversations been received? 'Cause that's what you just hit us with was something so real, and I hope everyone really is paying attention to that. Like our actions matter. Like people are always watching, not to make you self-conscious, but you're inspiring somebody. You mean so much to someone, much more than you could ever realize. So how do you navigate that, Erica?
I mean, it's tough. It gets heavy for me, and I didn't always take that well, because I'm like you don't know my life. Like, don't put that on me, and that's a very real way to feel. But I think, what is the alternative? Is the alternative allowing women to still get paid 77 cents to the dollar that a man gets paid? Is the alternative still allowing politicians to regulate a female's body? Is the alternative not standing up for our brothers and sisters who just want to be able to marry who they love and have a family? Because 40 years ago, it was illegal for me, for example, to marry a white man. Right. Now that's becoming more commonplace, but only because people bucked the system and said, I'm not going to take this as just the, carte blanche, the blanket solution. We see what's happening now. The video for this woman just released who called the police while being arrested because she was fearful of the way the officer was approaching her. We need to share those videos, but also dissect that. I saw a great analysis. How can your first charge when engaging with law enforcement be for resisting arrest? Yeah. You have to have been something in the process of being arrested before you can resist arrest. Right. We're seeing so many times where the charge that's being publicly stated is simply resisting arrest. But what was the arrest for? And if I'm being arrested for no reason, are you telling me that I don't have the right to question why I'm being arrested? Right. And when I question why I'm being arrested, that is the offense. Yeah. So things like that, you have to be able to, is it uncomfortable? Yeah. Sometimes I wear my Black Lives Matter pin and I'm around people that might not be as familiar like you are with my political and advocacy work. And does that make me uncomfortable? Sometimes, yeah, if I'm keeping it real, but also the fact that it can make me uncomfortable with people who've embraced me and accepted me in other roles, whether it's athletics, whether it's writing, that is a part of the problem. We shouldn't have to compartmentalize who we are. Right. If I'm not dangerous as a female athlete, then why am I dangerous as an activist? Yeah. Or vice versa? I'm still me. For sure. But I guess the problem with all of that is we want folks to be compartmentalized, so it's easier for you to stay in your place. So if you're just an athlete,
just gonna be an athlete. You're not gonna talk about this.
Exactly. And we've seen that with the NBA, with the WNBA just recently, taking a stand and saying, hey, there are a lot of us that identify with this community, that we love people who represent this community, and we want to use our celebrity, we want to use our platform to share that. And even in those two examples, we've seen the media react differently to, Derrick Rose, for example, wearing an I Can't Breathe shirt versus Swin Cash wearing a shirt that honors, at the time, the Dallas Five and some of the other lives that were taken, So you're absolutely right. When we compartmentalize each other, it's easier to be divisive around a specific thing and not understand that, again, we are connected. So it's not suffice to say, oh, that's not who I am, because you might be in relation with someone, whether it's a coworker, a family member, or someone that you revere who has a difference of opinion than you. And so you're going to have to deal with these issues at one point in time. And when we do, we don't have to kill each other over a difference of opinion. We really don't. Oh, did I lose you, Chris? I think I might have. Oh, there you go. Oh, did I lose you, Chris? Oh, there you go.
Hey, we got a little disconnection.
We're back now. Okay.
We're back. See, when we start talking now real, they don't want us to.
I know, right? Listen, I'm probably on some list. We're back now. Okay.
We're back. See, when we start talking now, snippet of what we're going to be covering on Do It Anyway, and it's exciting. It's really, really exciting to me. Snippet of what we're going to be covering on Do It Anyway. For sure. It's really, really exciting. So what's the number one thing that you're looking forward to with this program? What excites you about Do It Anyway?
I'm excited to speak with other young people like ourselves and to really understand what motivates them and what are some of the things that frighten them about what they do. What are some of the insecurities that they have, and how do they overcome them? I think we have to share each other's stories in order to be able to, really move forward and be who we were meant to be.
For sure. It's exciting stuff. It's really, really exciting stuff. So we're going to be posting more information. The show flyers are going to be going up soon, and the times for soundboothradio1.com. I'm really excited about this. I think it's going to be great. Y'all know I'm on Twitter, ChrisB06, Instagram, The Baddest Chaplain. Hit me up at those things if you have any questions or comments. Let's get this generation, or let's get this really generating and really making this a movement where we're sharing our information with one another, man. So, Erica, you have any social media you want to share with the good people?
Oh, I was on mute. Sorry about that. I can be found on Twitter and Instagram at elindsay. That's ELINDSAY08. That's me on all social media platforms. So that's Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat.
Awesome. Oh, you on that Snapchat? I'm too washed up for Snapchat.
I'm trying. I'm trying. I use it mostly when I do the sports media coverage, stuff like that.
That's so exciting. That is really, really exciting, man. So we're gonna be sharing more with that. But guys, thanks for joining us. If you like this, please share it. And that's all I got to say about that. Until next time, we out.
All right. Thank you.
Sharing more with that.